So this session will give us a sneak peek on what to expect on Brazilian presidency priorities, as well on our members' plan. So I'm pleased now to invite Antonio, which is the head of International Affairs Office at the Ministries of Cities in Brazil. Antonio, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I took a little while for your expectations regarding COP30, so let me go in order of the preoccupations that I heard. We are going to host COP30 in Belém. It's going to be in the middle of the Amazon city, the largest Amazonian metropolis, a city with over 1 million inhabitants, in both the delta of the Amazon River and in the middle of the Amazonian forest, and also right almost in the ocean. So it's an amazing place. For those of you who have never been to the Amazon region, it is a surprising place, a city that developed particularly in the 19th century and early 20th century. Huge, amazing food, culture, everything, great fun. Not in the middle of the forest. Actually, is one of the cities with the lowest tree coverage in big Brazilian metropolis, which is surprising, bearing in mind that it's right there in the forest. It's one of the cities with the highest levels of slums in our metropolitan areas in terms of percentage. So it is an urban case in terms of buildings to be looked at. And those of you who will join us there will have an experience of seeing not a COP of the forest, but actually a COP of cities, Amazonian cities and of built environments. So that maybe was my first idea to give you. The second idea that I wanted to share with you is that we are really hoping that we can push forward in this COP, both in the action agenda and in the negotiating process, two main priorities. One is implementation, and maybe the second one is also implementation, and the third one is also implementation, because we believe that after 10 years in Paris, we need action, not in the action agenda, but actually in the commitments that we have been building over the last 10 years in terms of the negotiating process. And the second one is trying to showcase for the world of each of us the best practices that can actually help us implement the commitments that we have taken. So implementation, 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 and then best practices. We are hoping and we're trying to speak with our colleagues from ICBC, particularly the colleagues from the Troika, how we can look into the issue of implementation in terms of using the pavilion, the building and cooling pavilion that we will have at the Blue Zone in Belém with activities that actually dialogue fully with what will be going on in the negotiating process so that we can feed into what is going on. We can help negotiators look at the reality of the built environment, understand what we're trying to move forward, and see how they will incorporate that in their reflections and in the results that we wish will come out of Belém, particularly in those areas that are the concentration of this year's Conference of the Parties of the UNFCCC and on the Paris Agreement. We also hope to have our first full ministerial ICBC back-to-back with also the ministerial that we're hoping to host on urbanization and climate. And I see Les smiling there. And we hope that these two ministerial conferences actually speak to each other and are well prepared. so that we come out of these two events with high authorities on our sectors, also with results that we can move forward. So COP30 for Brazil is not an end game, but it's another beginning game for us to move this agenda forward in favor of those objectives that we pursue here as this community of action, also in the urban agenda community of action, and also in the agenda that Brazil also endorses, that is the local government multi-level action agenda that we also want to move forward in this, let's say, urbanization built environment agenda that we're trying to articulate. We hope as Minister of Cities, I'm not sure that we will get it, but we hope that we will have a pavilion on cities and local governments of about 300 square meters. I don't know how that is in feet for those of you who work with Imperial. I don't. And that we try also to have the building and cooling pavilion there. And we're also hoping to have the water hub pavilion also in the same place. So we're also trying to see that the built environment agenda, action agenda, pavilions, everything works in tandem, in dialogue, reinforce each other. So if you like those ideas, please join us in preparing for a great COP30 in Berlin, which is an amazing city for you to be there for 2 weeks working on in favor of a global action for climate change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Much appreciated. We are really looking forward to go to Belém. So this is why I will call all my speakers who will join us in Belém too. So I'm calling on stage Geraldine. Gerald, I will breathe. I will call Geraldine. I will also call Shimada-san, Mugure, Jenju. I will call Prudence Adjanohon and Will Wild. Please, welcome on stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Geraldine Vellner, and I work at Train Technologies. Train Technologies is very proud to be the leading global innovator in climate solutions for the built environment and transport. Through our strategic brands, Train and Thermo King, we are decarbonizing cities. And in the built environment specifically, what we're really calling on is faster adoption of the technology that exists today to decarbonize our cities. And as the minister said earlier, leaving a better planet behind for future generations, so that every day when we go home, we can sit at the dinner table and tell our children why we're doing the work that we're doing. So in the built environment, we're calling on faster adoption of the technology that exists today to decarbonize, more energy efficient technology where we can move away from the traditional thinking of separate heating and cooling systems and move into adopting technology where we have simultaneous heating and cooling happening at the same time with close to zero emissions. And also adopting energy recovery technology where we can recapture energy that would otherwise go into the environment and be recaptured and repurposed for the same building or neighboring buildings. So we're very proud to be here today to partner with the GlobalABC and with all of you. And it's my pleasure to also pass you on to my colleague, Scott Chu. He's our head of sustainability and an award-winning leader in this space. And he will say a couple of words of comment and remarks on what we've just heard from Antonio. And thank you for the wonderful welcome and introduction to your country. I think everyone is looking forward to joining you in accelerating the transition to a decarbonized world. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott too. Thank you, Geraldine, for the remarks. Thanks also to the ambassador for his welcome remarks as we head to COP30 in Brazil. We all are looking forward to it, and I appreciated his welcome remarks also about the focus on buildings and buildings of the future. Also, the minister who opened the session, very happy to understand her remarks on solutions and a solution focus. So my welcome today and my thanks, also apologies for not being in person, is really about our excitement of what buildings can bring to the world. This is the moment. Never have we been more excited about solutions in the built environment than now. My colleagues on the panel today will, I'm sure, share their own excitement with solutions focused on innovations in the built environment like none we've ever seen before. It's not although buildings are integrating great technologies now, buildings have been a sanctuary for some time for the world, and never before have we needed sanctuary as much as we do today as we face extreme weather events where buildings become the true sanctuary for our growing cities and urbanization. And in my view, there's no better way to align with the COP president's priorities than for the built environment to step up and share the solutions that we bring around climate resiliency, around health and well-being, as well as economic benefits.
Much, Scott, for a impactful message, and we are looking forward to seeing you physically in Belém.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So now I will hand over to my dear panelists. If any one of you would have a quick reaction to Antonio's intervention on Brazil, any questions? Or I can ask. Yeah, you want?
We can dive in either way.
Oh, we can dive in. Yes, sure. So I'm going to ask the first question. So, according to you, how do you align with the COP presidency priorities? I will ask first Shimada-san, who is chief at Daikin Industries, to respond. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I'm Shimada from Daikin Industries. First of all, as a leading company in the air conditioning and heat pumps industry, we are very committed to addressing climate change and contributing to greener and just urbanization. So we align with COP30 presidency priorities by leveraging our environmental vision 2050. So we Daikin have environmental vision 2050, and which is aims to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. And in alignment with this vision, Daikin has been actively developing and technologies and solutions which contribute to building decarbonization. So we are eager to showcase these innovations at COP30 and to present our contribution to building decarbonizations. Currently, operational carbon account for the majority of the emissions from the buildings. And for this, we are addressing this issue through various measures, such as promoting highly energy efficient air conditioners and accelerating the shift from gas boiler to heat pumps, and optimizing the operation of air conditioners by the energy management services, introducing heat recovery ventilation systems, etc. We are also addressing the reduction of embodied carbon. So Daikin is committed to adapting lower GWP refrigerant while considering the safety, energy efficiency, and cost effectiveness. That alone is not sufficient. So now we are promoting refrigerant leakage prevention technologies such as refrigerant leakage monitoring system or secure and reliable piping connection technologies. And we are also making efforts to establish a refrigerant recovery scheme to prevent the refrigerant leakage from the market stock of air conditioners and heat pumps. So we are going to showcase our initiatives, technologies, and solutions at COP30. I hope this is aligned with your priorities, COP30. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shimada-san. I will ask the same questions now to Prudence Ajanohu from CEO at Union Sociale pour l'Habitat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Malia. My answer is very simple. There can be no fair green urbanization without affordable and sustainable housing, affordable housing. This is very important to say this. Today we have a global housing crisis affecting the cities, the countryside, and the young people. Crisis that is creating many homeless people, and it's very dramatic consequences for communities. The Blanco must be focused on the issue of social housing for all. This is very fundamental. We need to build more, better, cheaper, and above all, sustainably. For example, last November in World Urban Forum in Cairo, we took part in sessions with Egyptian Housing Fund. The issue as highlighted by all our partners. We have good parties to promote, so we must act. Thank you.
Thank you, Prudence. Now I will ask kindly Mugure Jendo. She is the African program leads at GBPN. So the question, thank you.
Thank you very much. So maybe just to contextualize GBPN, for those who may not know the organization, it's the Global Buildings Performance Network, and GBPN aims to tackle climate focused on decarbonization of buildings. Our key markets, just to give a little bit of context again, is really Indonesia, India, and the African region. And I think in a number of presentations that were given yesterday and a bit of today, those are regions that will be building almost 80% of the building stock by 2030, just those regions alone. What then it means is that there'll be rapid urbanization, particularly in African cities. So how do we support the priorities? And it's really around our focus in these emerging economies to deliver healthy and resilient housing and buildings. How we do it is really focused on bottom-up strategies, that is working with local communities who build sort of powerful local coalitions towards addressing the needs of in a people-centered approach. We bring together government, we bring together industry, and through that we're able to fill the evidence gap. We're able to leverage our local global knowledge, as well as provide direct technical support. And we really focus on a couple of areas: policy reform, healthy and resilient housing, and of course, innovation. I really liked what you said, Ambassador, about implementation. And for me, I think that's really the key focus, and that's what we're hoping to build to COP30. And I'd like to give practical examples of that work. With regards to the work we've done in Indonesia specifically, we worked with the city of Samarinda with regards to looking at how healthy is housing, or how housing is doing a building stock analysis in terms of how household energy is managed. And one of the things that we noted in that particular study is that you have houses that are controlled with thermostats at 20 degrees, but are still recording temperatures of 27 degrees and still reporting humidity of 70%, which is matching the outside temperature. What that then means is that there is something wrong in how these buildings are designed, and opens up an opportunity for energy efficiency standards. And that research actually moved from the sort of local subnational government and over into national government, where local experts and policymakers then developed green building policies that are now actually being implemented and in discussion at the national government level from the local government level. goal. We had a very similar study as well in India, where we have healthy buildings, healthy lives, and again, speaking to just urbanization and how buildings can affect people's health. That particular study, again, looked at how poor thermal control affects individuals, whether it's economy, social elements, environmental elements. And as a result of that white paper, we're actually now also implementing changes to the Indian building code, and also rolling out a study in 4,000 housing units being developed by one of India's biggest developers. And I know Kennedy mentioned this as well. In Kenya, we're now doing the decarbonization roadmap, and it is going to come down to implementation. And by COP30, we are looking forward to having priority areas in terms of implementation for Kenya as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mugure. I will kindly invite Will Wild, who is a chartered engineer and an associate at Arup, to...
Thank you, Melia. Many of you know me through my role at the Climate Champions. I also have a job at Arup, and it's nice to speak on behalf of that today. And as I was reading over the discussion points you provided last night, I was reminded that I've actually been at Arup 10 years this year. Later this month, Arup have invited me to an event where they're going to give me a small silver bar. It's about 10 centimeters long, and it's about 1 centimeter across. And it's there to represent 10 years of continuous service in the firm. And it's a tradition that Arup have run for the last 60 years, since 1965. And so with this milestone coming up for me, it's got me thinking about what has kept me at Arup for this time. And Arup is a commercial for-profit business, one with a strong social purpose. We're about doing socially useful work. We're employee-owned, we don't have shareholders, and we understand the science of climate change. And really what that means for buildings, cities, and most importantly, communities around the world. And that's why we feel it's really important that we go to COP. You know, our goal is to find out how we can participate, how we can collaborate to really bring about climate action. And for us, as Antonio has said, COP30 has to be about implementation. Implementation of the global stocktake and the global goal on adaptation, not as an either or, but both of them, and rapidly. And for us as designers, engineers, and planners, you know, there are a number of areas where we feel that we can really bring some insight into this conversation. Buildings, water, cities, and energy. The IEA have shown that buildings are 40% of the solutions to doubling energy efficiency. That's absolutely massive. And the global status report from Oliver has shown that we've got a long way to go. We urgently need to scale up retrofits at the same time as making new buildings affordable for everyone. Water, whether it's too much, too little, or too dirty, we're working around the world in the planning and designing of resilient water infrastructures to help bring resilience to communities. Our energy experts will be at COP, particularly those working on the scaling of electricity networks, as we need to do this in tandem, as we can't electrify our buildings unless we scale the networks that they rely on. And we also want to support a strong focus on cities. They're on the front line of a changing climate. And we really want to explore how we can help them in protecting communities from extreme heat. So for me, I really want to look back at COP30 and remember it for one where countries truly started to recognize buildings as the critical vehicle for implementing their NDCs. And we're really grateful for the work of GlobalABC and the Intergovernmental Council for really paving the way in making this a reality.
Thank you so much, Will. Exactly. COP30 will be the next opportunity to show that GlobalABC is a community and buys member for its members. So we are really looking forward to show your implementation in Belém, Ambassador. So I'm going to kindly ask the panelists what, as part of your engagement with the GlobalABC, how are you joining forces with the GlobalABC community to achieve near zero buildings? Near zero emission buildings. So, but I would like to ask if Scott too would like to answer the question.
Yeah, thanks for the question on collaboration. I mean, and I agree with my colleagues on the panel. Almost everyone has mentioned the need for more collaboration. The good news is that according to a CDP survey recently, 72% of companies are already collaborating with their supply chain to develop materials of the future. Trane Technologies is one of those companies. Last year or the year before, we began collaborating with suppliers on alternatives and lower carbon emission steel as an example of one material that we use a tremendous amount of. We are a heavy metal using company, steel, copper, aluminum, other metals. We began working with a steel supplier to understand the possibilities around low emission steel. We were the first company in our sector to have a purchase order to make a signal to the market that if you could provide low carbon steel, that we would purchase it and place into our products. We are now almost at 2 million products produced with low carbon steel that we're pushing to the market. Our customers love the alternative materials in the supplies and the solutions that we provide to them. But that's just one piece of what's needed in terms of reducing emissions and impact in the built environment. We also, via our Gigaton Challenge, which is our commitment to reduce the emissions of the solutions that we provide to customers, we see no other way to really do that Gigaton Challenge unless we begin collaborating with customers, so on the other end of our value chain. And that really has brought into scope circular materials and the circular economy, which the minister and the ambassador both spoke about. We cannot reach a circular economy unless we all learn how to collaborate more closely, either on building design, and our friends at Autodesk, who are also sponsors of the GlobalABC Pavilion, we partner with on the building design piece. We're also partnering, as I mentioned, with suppliers on different materials and better alternative materials. But then we also collaborating with customers on the end of the life cycle of our products, because the collaborations are needed across the entire value stream, the entire value chain, for us to ever realize a circular economy related to better materials, which yield better buildings. And so we're excited about the possibilities of collaborating with all of the GlobalABC community. Trane Technologies has personally received lots of value from the collaboration. We believe there's still great potential for additional collaboration as we head into COP30.
Thank you so much, Scott, for joining forces. Thank you. I will kindly ask Shimada-san to answer the question.
Thank you. Actually, this is our first time to join GlobalABC meeting, and I could thank you very much. And I could see a lot of actions and initiatives ongoing in the GlobalABC. Our collaboration with GlobalABC focuses on near zero emission buildings. So we will closely work with GlobalABC to accelerate the transition to more sustainable and energy efficient buildings by raising the awareness of our technology and solution I mentioned earlier. And in addition, we now have to focus on the materials. The materials reduction, embodied carbon, I think. And for this topic, embodied carbon, I think, is like a kind of how to avoid sector. So public-private partnership actions and collaborations across value chain is essential. And I believe that GlobalABC is a very good platform to have a discussion and to find a solution for this topic. So yeah, I look forward to cooperating and collaborating with you for COP30.
Thank you very much, Shimada-san. Exactly, this is what the Buildings Breakthrough Pillar 2 on demand creation is pushing for, more public and private partnership. Yeah, thank you. We'll kindly ask either Prudence to answer.
Thank you, Malia. I would like to share with you two initiatives that we supported after adoption of Chaillot Declaration in partnership with other members of GlobalABC. First, together with Housing Europe and other European partners, we carried out an advocacy campaign. We helped organize the meeting of European housing minister under Belgian presidency of European Union. The strong message has to call for a new Green Deal. And we call the appointment of European Commissaire for Housing and for coming announcement of a European plan to resolve the housing crisis. Secondly, we took part in the first African Urban Forum held in Addis Ababa in last September. We assisted to availability of city and municipalities to use green financing. We discussed the implementation to fair and inclusive urban strategy. Firstly, we organized a seminar in Abidjan last February with support of the Ivorian Minister of Housing. We mobilized mayors to share with them best practices in territorializing sustainable housing policies. Now, more than ever, we need to work together to achieve our common goals. Thank you.
Thank you, Prudence.
Thank you. I think one of the things I've really enjoyed the last couple of days is how much work is getting done among the members, and really that for me is really that saying that the collaboration opportunities available in this room alone are so tremendous, and I've really been impressed about all the work happening among the World ABC members. I want to speak towards one collaboration GBPN has with the State Department of Public Works of Kenya. Just to speak about commitment with regards to the commitments as a country that Kenya has made, and GBPN sort of championing that the targets towards those achievements. And I really think as a partnership, I think that is one of the collaborations I can really identify, and the work is ongoing on the ground with regards to the decarbonization roadmap. As late as last week, the situational analysis for that roadmap was being validated by stakeholders, and now is in baseline assessment stage, building the baseline assessment. GBPN has also worked with other GlobalABC members, including CLASP on a heat pump policy toolkit, and BPIE also, who spoke earlier today. We're friends of BPIE as well. And it really is just a great, robust network, and there's so many opportunities for future collaboration as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Around participation, how we can collaborate in the community. At our core, we're planners, designers, and engineers. We know that we need to do our bit, but we also know that we really can't do it on our own. And that's why, to move at speed and scale, we need to work together. Forging strong partnerships has always been about part of our journey. In recent years, we partnered with the University College London and the University of Reading to create a tool to help understand urban heat islands and what we can do to prevent them. And we're working with Singapore and the UK's Climate Change Committee to help them protect communities from extreme heat. We partnered with the Industrial Technical Centre in France and Imperial College London to undertake our own large-scale fire testing of cross-laminated timber floors. This is giving us real insights into how these systems perform, helping us understand the complexities that come with charring and glue line delamination, all the details that the engineers love. And this is really about how we can make sure we safely deploy mass timber in our buildings. And we've partnered with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development to share a suite of reports that really set out the technical basis for net zero buildings. Stephen led a fantastic discussion this morning in one of the breakout sessions that really inspired a great discussion amongst the room. But that's really why we're here today. Myself, Stephen, and Oliver, please do introduce yourselves. And we're here to work out how do we best collaborate among this global community.
Yes, thank you so much, Will. Always impactful there. I will kindly ask now Ambassador Antonio, to reflect on the GlobalABC members' interventions.
Thank you. This was thrilling. to a large extent. Couple of messages that I want to highlight of what has been discussed. The first is people-centered. The second is adequate housing. And the third is community-based work. Final word, because I think all of my colleagues spoke significantly more properly about this than I could, but there is no implementation without collaboration. And GlobalABC and ICBC and the Déclaration de Chaillot are all based on the idea that for us to reach the goals, the ambitious goals that we have, we need collaboration in order to get the three priorities that I told you we are focusing on: implementation, implementation, and implementation. We need to showcase the best practices, the best examples in all levels, and how we can collaborate to build what we actually want with the Paris Agreement, with UNFCCC, and one of a number of other conventions, climate and non-climate related, which is, so I saw a bunch of us wearing this button around, and for me, sustainable development is still the goal in all the 17 SDGs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will thank you all for your impactful messages and being champions of the GlobalABC community. So I also looking forward to seeing you all in Belém in Brazil, and at the next COP30. And for that, so to get ready, I'm also pleased to launch the call for program for content open to all GlobalABC members. So you are very much invited. Next slide, please. To submit your session proposals to the Buildings and Cooling Pavilion. This is only open to GlobalABC members, so we can showcase implementation, and implementation. Yes, your priorities. You said the motto. We still have 8 minutes left, so I will kindly ask if we have any questions from the audience to our panelists. Regis, yeah.
So thank you. So we need to collaborate for better implementation. So I was thinking that is there a contract issue, because to collaborate along the value chain, you are linked with contract. So is there a discussion on what are the change or new way to contract between each member of the value chain in the construction on the way? Sorry. Is there a discussion on that? So I push FIDIC because I know that they are very keen of that, but I have not answer from FIDIC clearly on that. So maybe you have an other answer. So
it's a great question. You're not wrong, particularly in the delivery of our projects. We are all in operating in and amongst different legal contracts that do restrict, and sometimes the nature of those contracts restrict the ability to bring in new innovations, restrict the culture that fosters cooperation and collaboration. I mean, the construction sector itself is plagued by slow productivity, and a big part of that is the inability to bring in new innovation, and how you share that risk amongst those in the value chain and between contracts. For us, where we are seeing collaboration emerging is outside of particular projects. And typically it's where there is a neutral party that is able to be a platform for fostering collaboration amongst competitors, amongst organizations in the same value chain, whether that's the market transformation agenda at the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, or close to home for me, it has been the development of the UK's first net zero carbon building standard, run by a whole suite of NGOs that are able to offer that shared space to bring actors together outside of particular contracts and projects.
Thank you.
Stephen Hill from Arup, Will's colleague. I thought I might just chip in on that. We are starting to see gradually now a shift in terms of how we contract, in terms of construction contracts. We are starting to see carbon pricing in London come into construction contracts. So contractors are kind of able to kind of hedge their risk to some extent in terms of how they pursue lower carbon, particularly lower embodied carbon opportunities in construction. So I think it's moving from something that early on was quite kind of cautious collaboration into something that is becoming more kind of embedded in construction language. I mean, it's only very, very early days, but it is starting to move, which I think is quite encouraging.
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Lutz Morgenstern from the German Ministry for Economic Affairs Climate Action. Thank you for all the presentation. It was really interesting and also helpful to get a better view of what to expect in Belém. And I'm really looking forward to coming to this city. I've been there once already, and I found it fascinating, actually. I would like to pick up on one comment by Scott, and that was on the demand side signals. He mentioned that Train is a company that actually is already purchasing low emission steel. And I think that could be an interesting idea for the COP, to find other companies that all give this demand side signal. If many companies say that they actually will create the demand for low or near zero emission products, be it steel, be it cement or other relevant products, then this could create a signal that goes beyond the COP and beyond those that come to these conferences, could really make a change in the market. So maybe something that we, both in the GlobalABC and in other fora, might think about if that's an interesting option for the COP. Thanks.
Point taken. Anyone wants to respond? I don't know if Scott is still on the line. Yeah, is it? Yes.
Yeah, I'm still on the line, and I appreciate the comment. We've had a very interesting learning about what we call first movers. It is really important to the questioner's comment that we have companies willing to not only collaborate on possible solutions, but also willing to be a first mover, willing to take a step to create a purchase order for a new material or an alternative solution. I think it's a great recommendation that we talk with the GlobalABC members and discuss how we all together can move beyond COP and become first movers. Many of us need some of the same commodities for the built environment. So it makes a lot of sense for the GlobalABC to become a hub that would encourage more market drivers, market signals for alternative materials, better materials that lead to better buildings. And so I totally endorse the commenter's point about the need for us to drive true action after COP30.
Thank you.
Will? But perhaps I can add to that. Let's just a signpost. There's a great piece of work being done by Climate Group through their Steel Zero campaign, which is really looking at that exact question: how do you aggregate the demand behind these low carbon products? Because it takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of confidence to be able to invest into the amount of remanufacturing, the amount of rerunning your processes to really build a supply chain for low carbon steel or cement. So how do you aggregate that demand and confidence from around the world?
Thank you. Anyone wants to respond? Yeah.
Not to that question. To that question that Lutz put forward. And I wonder if we could, from the perspective of the Ministry of Cities, a demand-driven effort would need to also answer to social housing, water and sanitation, drainage, which are the social priorities that we have. So in order to respond to public needs of social adequate, dignified housing, urban development, water and sanitation, drainage also, in terms of water management, and informal settlements and slums, and how do you transform those territories. We need to think about policies that are effective in terms of carbon neutral approach, but at the same time that are cost effective, including those that can be driven by the community themselves. And if I can be allowed to an additional comment, which is, to a certain extent, part of what we need here in terms of collaboration is also convincing the communities that we serve, particularly the most vulnerable communities, that policies related to decarbonization and resilience of buildings and constructions and infrastructure are of their own interest. They are aware of the need to respond to the climate crisis. When you talk to them, but they don't make the connection between climate crisis and the responses that are needed. So we need to convince our communities, our voters, our citizens, particularly the most vulnerable, particularly the ones that are most exposed to inequalities that we have produced in our urban environment, that to respond to that inequality, to respond to that vulnerability, what we are proposing makes sense in the short term, medium term, long term. If you organize your presentations in the Building and Cooling Pavilion, allow me to make you an invitation to think about that perspective on the one hand, and obviously, again, let me insist on the perspective of implementation. I think Will pointed out what we need to address in this COP. Bear that in mind in particularly, but bear also in mind that COP30 is just one step forward, but we want it to be forward. I know that recently the news that people are reading are not very positive, but I hope that we, this community and other communities that will be in Benin, can actually transform that conversation into something constructive, future-oriented, and community-based and people-centered.
Thank you. Any further comment from the audience, or we leave it on implementation? Well, then I will thank you, all the panelists, all the GlobalABC members, all our supporters and partners for their participation. And yeah, thank you all. I will kindly invite. Hanan is not here. No. Maybe Roland, just to say a final words, because this is the last session in the plenary. And thank you all to